Hello and welcome to the video on activity 2.5, making holes in Onshape. So in the LMS, this is the drawing file that you have, and they're asking you to create this block, add your 4 holes along this center line, go ahead and create a drawing file, add your section view, and then your hole callouts. So this is the process that we will be taking. So we'll go in to our folder, create a new folder, and we will add our title. And let's just call it Onshape. From there, we are going to add our steps to the front view. And we'll do that normal to the sketch pane. I'm going to add my rectangle here, which is 5 by 3. And now from there, I will extrude that. I always recommend that you do an isometric when you're working in 3D space and hide the work planes there. Let's extrude it in the backward direction so that we keep our view front along with our front plane in proper orientation. And we want this to be 2 inches deep. So now we have our overall general shape here. We know that we want to add our holes to the top view. So again, we're going to add a sketch to the top view. I think a good thing before we add our points is to go ahead and add your line. So we'll use L or go to the QAT and activate the line command. Find the midpoint of your line segment and draw your line all the way across. Now we can go ahead and add our points, our center points. So you're just going to put your 4 points along here. And just be careful that you don't drop a point right here. So this right here would make it vertically constrained with the origin. And if you do that, when you go to dimension it later, chances are you may get an error message or it'll turn red, and you would have to go in and delete that. So there's something to be thinking about while you're adding these center points along your top plane here. So now that we have it, we want to go ahead and dimension these. And this is actually dimension it from a data dimensioning from the right side. So we're going to go ahead and we talked about that in class. One of the reasons why we want to go ahead and dimension these from the same coordinate. And we want it to be 1 inch increments. So 1 inch, 2 inches, 3 inches, and then hole number 4 is 4 inches. So now that we have our center points in place, now we just need to go ahead and add our hole features. So we can go in the isometric view. You'll see it from the right side, so that would be hole 1. And in hole 1, for example, was a through hole that's a 1/2 inch diameter. It's a counterbore. And the counterbore head was 3/4 of an inch to a depth of 5/8 of an inch. So along the quick access toolbar, I'll find the hole command, which is this little rectangle, a cube shape with a hole in it. And I'm going to change this from simple to counterbore. Then it does go through. The diameter of the actual shaft here is a 1/2 inch. The counterbore is 3/4 of an inch. And then the depth here is 0.625. And we'll go ahead and select this hole. You can have done that first, and now we'll accept it. Once you do the first one, you will have to go and unhide the sketch so that you have access and you can see the other points. So hole number 2, again, I'll go ahead and select the hole, center point, select the hole feature. And the second hole was a countersink. It's a it's a 1/4 inch to a depth of 2 1/4 inches. And it's got a 1 inch diameter on the head at 82 degrees. So we'll switch this from counterbore to countersink. And it's not a through hole, it's a blind hole because it has a depth to it. The diameter of the shaft is 0.25. The diameter of the head is 1 inch, so that's good. It's 82 degrees. And then our depth is 2 1/4 inches. And then I can accept that. And if you hover over those holes, it will give you just a general outline of what they look like. The third hole, now we don't need to turn the sketch back on. Once you unhide it, it stays unhidden until you toggle it back off. So hole number 3 is a counterbore hole again. And it is also a blind hole. It has a diameter of 0.375. It has a head diameter of 3/4 of an inch, got lucky there. And the actual depth of the counter bore is a 1/2 inch. And then the depth of the actual mechanical fastener hole is 2 inches. And then finally, our fourth hole here is just a simple through hole. So I'll change counter bore to simple and from blind to through, and now I just need to know what is the diameter, and the diameter is a 1/2 inch. So I can accept it. And now I have my figure. I just need to create my drawing file. So I'll go down to the bottom left of the graphic window, select the plus symbol, and create a drawing. We don't have our template drawing files loaded yet, so it's going to continue to use the ANSI image. And from here, you should come up with your projected view. We can select part 1, and we are going to place part 1. I'm going to go along the y-axis. It'll bring up our ghost box. It shows the top view. Now I'm still in projected view. So I'm going to go ahead and select the front view again in order to drop in the side view. And then I'm going to go ahead and drop in the isometric. We don't need it, but I want us to go ahead and practice it. So let's hit escape and then right click, show hide, show shaded view. And now what I want to do here next is, because we have these holes along this part, I want to go ahead and add my section view or cutout right along the side view here. So along the quick access toolbar, you'll go up and you'll find this one that has the 2 arrows that kind of show that we're cutting something away here. And if you hover over top of it, it will say section view. So I'm going to turn that on, and we'll talk about this dialog box later, and what we're going to do, or editing box later, and we will change it for some things. I'm simply going to go over and find my angle point or my midpoint here that I want to cut it, which is down that center line. Now I can go ahead and left click, and then it creates that projected view. So I can drag and drop in between the front and the side view, and then here is my section view. Now this is on the title block, so if I drag it up, it will be positioned because we talked about scale and proportions. And then from here, I'm going to go ahead and add my dimensions. We always use the big 3. So I'll just go ahead and put the front view in. Let's reposition this a little bit. We also should put in our height, and then we have our overall depth. We also know that we are dimensioning 1 inch for this part, and now we have everything that we really basically need for this part except for what are called our hole callouts. So sometimes, this right here is the feature, the command icon for it. Sometimes it is hidden under the dimension, or depending on the orientation, it could be under this area where we actually decide how we want to orient our dimensioning. But this here is the symbol, so we have the whole callout. And I can go ahead and click, and then now that I put that on there, I can add my whole callout features. And I'm just putting them on here now until I decide where I want to put them in just a second. So now that I have them, I can reorient them if I want. I'll bring this one down, flip this one around, and now I have this oriented so it's a little bit easier for the viewer to read. The final thing that I forgot to do when I was putting in my basic dimensions is we do need to add our datum dimensioning. So the center point to the right side here is 1 inch. Here is 2. Here is 3. It doesn't look like I'm going to have enough room here. Let me drag this down just a little. And we can add our final dimension there. And that'll be good enough for this project here. So now that we have it, we want to go ahead and select the print feature option. So once we select print, we're going to get this PDF version that we're going to want to download and upload to our LMS. So I hope that helps you complete that activity. And I look forward to seeing you all next week when we actually bring in some different types of section views. Thanks, and take care.